This video is sponsored by the Rich Wallet. More on that later in the video. Experiment time. Today I'm going to see if higher hydration helps open crumb in very high protein flour. The highest hydration will be 95%. What? Hi, I'm Sune and I'm a food geek. Today I'm going to experiment with very high protein flour. My flour is a Manitoba flour from a Danish mill called Skærtoft Mølle. It has a whopping 16% protein. It's also stone ground, which means that there are a lot more particles of the whole grain left in the flour, even though it's sifted. So the absorption is a lot higher than usual with bread flours. What I also like about these stone ground flours is that because more of the bran, germ, and endosperm is left in the flour, you get much more taste than you do with regular bread flour. That is what is called a high extraction flour. So a while back I tested 4 different protein levels against each other. At the extremes were cake flour at the low end and this flour at the high end. I felt like this flour could perform better when used at a different hydration level, so that is what we'll be testing today. If you're interested in getting an open crumb in your sourdough bread, I have a playlist with all my experiments. Follow the card above. The hydrations I will be testing are 80%, 85%, 90%, and 95%. How much can this flour take? We'll see. So, for the last 10 years, I haven't been using a regular wallet. I use cards for everything. Even my driver's license and social security card are in credit card form. And I've been looking for the perfect wallet for cards, and now I found it. The Rich Wallet is not only gorgeous, but it's also super practical. You can fit up to 12 cards, and there's a clip on the back if I need to keep some cash. It's light and super sturdy, and the Rich team is so confident that you'll like it that they'll let you test drive it for 45 days. You can send it back for a full refund if you don't love it. If you're interested, check out the link in the description and use the coupon code FOODGEEK at checkout for a 10% discount. Thank you to the Rich Wallet for sponsoring this video. So the formula for this bread follows my experiment paradigm. The flour is, of course, 100% of this high protein flour. The salt content is 2% and the inoculation is 20%. The water content, of course, differs for each bread. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider becoming a member at Patreon. You can also buy some merch or use the links in the description for tools and ingredients. Those were the words. This is the experiment. This is not a recipe, it's an experiment. If you want to learn how to bake sourdough bread, I recommend that you watch my video on my master recipe. Link is in the description. First I mix all of the doughs.
Then I let them rest for 1 hour, and then it's time for the first set of stretch and folds. And the doughs rest for 30 minutes. Then the second set of stretch and folds. Then another 30-minute rest. The third set of stretch and folds. I check each dough's gluten development. And since it's all good, I put them in proofing containers. Level the top of the dough. And then I put them in the proofer. Once they've finished fermenting, I move each dough to my kitchen counter. Then I carefully pre-shape each dough by doing some coil folds. Then they rest for 20 minutes on the kitchen counter. Then I final shape them into batards. And they're moved to the fridge for an overnight retard. Then it's time to bake. I grab a dough from the fridge and dust the bottom. I flip it onto the peel. I score it. And then I bake it. After 20 minutes, I reveal the bread. Wow, that's a looker. Then I bake 25 minutes more to give the bread some color and to finish baking it. When it's done, I take the bread out and let it cool off. The rest of the breads were baked the exact same way. Now it's time to reveal the crumb, but first I want to show you something that I've been working on. I've gotten into woodworking. I really like to work with my hands. My first couple of projects were made using plywood, but I went to a carpenter that makes wooden tables and got some offcuts of oak. So I made this cutting board, which is my very first hardwood project. It's an end grain cutting board and I'm really proud of it. So that was a bit of a tangent, but back to the crumb reveal. Well, that looks nice. A bit more open than the 80% I baked in the previous experiment. A bit more open than the previous one. Looks really nice. Okay, that's a huge hole there. That may be from shaping. Otherwise, nice and a bit more open than the last. Wow, very open and a pretty wild crumb. Looks great. Let's have a look at the cross section. Okay, that just seems to mirror what we saw when I cut the breads in half. Afterwards, I tasted them, and the taste was exactly the same. The biggest difference were that the higher the hydration, the more fermentation bubbles, and the crispier the crust. The crumb got more and more moist from the 80% to the 95%.
Damn! While the 95% was a little on the flat side, it was definitely good looking. Those blisters were awesome and crunchy, and the crumb was amazing if you want that wild open crumb. I was pretty careful with the shaping to maximize the possibility of an open crumb, so maybe it could have been shaped tighter for a less flat bread. This is why you should get to know your flours. Experiment with them to know how they react to different changes that you make to your recipe. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. I hope you learned something today. See you next time.